Thank you, God, for this life. Most people will never experience real power. And you know why. Because they don't even know what it looks like. Because they are asleep when it is being built. Because most people are asleep in their own systems. You. You keep hesitating because you still think there's a way back. You haven't gone all in. You're still looking over your shoulder. That is why your system keeps short circuiting. You cannot build conviction with one foot in retreat. You cannot serve God with an escape clause in your contract. No, sir. No, ma'am. No way. No how. Welcome to Epoch 1, day 85. The point of no return. Why burning your escape routes is the only way forward. There's no way out after this one. Let's get into a concept overview. The point of no return is not a decision, it is a system command. It is the exact moment your future identity becomes non-negotiable. The reality of life is that most people don't fail because they're unskilled. They fail because they keep the door cracked. They say, I'm all in, while whispering, just in case. It's deadly. Because fallback plans don't just slow you down, they spiritually disconnect you from your root. They teach your subconscious to trust the escape more than the assignment. They program your system for doubt and then blame God when it doesn't work. But here's the raw and uncooked, the truth they don't tell you. If you haven't burned the map, you're not moving forward. You are just circling clarity in loops of hesitation. This is the inflection point where faith isn't about feelings, it is about friction. Where quitting is no longer an option because the cost is your contract. Today, you don't just cross the threshold, you incinerate it. And from here forward, you don't just run the system, you become the root. Are you running your system, or is the system running you? Do you have an escape route? Do you have a plan B? Do you have a fallout? Let's give a visual metaphor that we call the door with no handle. Imagine and immerse yourself. You are here with me and I am here with you, which means we are here with God. Imagine walking through a heavy ancient door, one that creaks open with effort, one you prayed to find. You step through and boom, like a movie scene, it shuts behind you. And as it shuts behind you, you reach back to open it and realize there's no handle on your side, no latch, no knob, no key. Just you. Just you and the path forward. That is what this moment is. That is what the commitment to your calling looks like. You walk through and God removed the option to go back. And if you try, if you try, you'll only scrape at wood, begging to be small again. Is the reality. There is no return. There is only forward. And if you truly belong on this side, you will never reach back again. Do you have an escape route? Are you lying to yourself? Let me give you personal perspective. Let me share my raw and uncooked. I'll tell you what I've never said out loud like this. I didn't burn my escape routes because I failed. I burned it because I realized success without God was still failure. That is my root. And I'll be all the way really real and uncooked, all the way raw. I've never been a plan B dude. Never subscribed to it. I never had a plan B. My real problem in retrospect was that I had too many plan A's that weren't aligned. I was always going for the big and the bold. I was talented everywhere I looked. Sports, music, IT, whatever I touched, it worked. Everything responded. My energy was always matched. The vision seemed clear, but that was the trap. Because the moment success required discipline beyond talent, beyond what was natural to me, all the way raw and uncooked, that's where I would fold. And I would fold quietly, elegantly, and casually. I just straight ghost myself without calling it quitting. Why? Because talent was effortless. But true mastery, that required me to work past myself. That required me to become someone I hadn't yet built. And all the way raw and uncooked, deep down, I wasn't afraid to fail. Never bothered me. I was afraid to be seen struggling to win. Even as a professional, I could reach the point where I could chase the next big rank. I could be a CIO easy money. I've seen some do it. I'm like, really? To this day, I can still get it. But I also realized something important. I already move like the CIO of my system. I lead, build, and I move with that energy, regardless of the title. Because the title doesn't promote me. Execution does. And if you know me, you already know God stepped in. And thank God he was not gentle. Essentially, what he said to me was, you've proven you can win in the world, but you haven't yet won in me. And that is when I understood. He wasn't asking me to stop being who I was. He was asking me to become who I was built to be, not to erase the old, but layer something divine on top of the natural. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? It was a warm transfer, a spiritual rewrite, because here's the part most won't admit, and I'll just say it out loud. I like being the villain sometimes. I like it. I like putting on the bad guy mask. I like sneaking wins. I like being underestimated. I like coming in the back door, taking what I wanted, and leaving without applause. The underdog, easy. And the shadow at the same time. I promise you, I am good with doing things on the low when nobody knows but me, and I win, regardless of what it is. But that had to go. Because you can't serve God with thief energy, even if the heist is righteous, straight up. So now I woke up, and I move as root source. I pray, I train, I parent, I build, I speak, and every single move I make is proof. And this is where I used to quit, but I can't anymore. Because this time, there's no escape plan. There's no exit plan, no safety net, no emotional refund, The cost of quitting now, because that's what it would be, it's no longer missed opportunity. You all know what the pain is if I quit? It is betrayal. Betrayal of the version of me that God showed me in silence. Betrayal of the system he gave me authority to run. Betrayal of the contract I signed when I said, I'll build it, I'll be it, I'll carry it. Don't get it twisted. I still mess up. I still fall short. Sometimes I wonder what's in my head, man. But my direction doesn't lie. If you watch me, like really watch me, you would know. You would know. No fronting. All the way real. That man may not be perfect, but he don't pretend. And he is not going back because there's nothing left to return to. Because once you see yourself with God's eyes and see that God moves through you, you can't unsee it. And once you move with that level of clarity, the middle becomes your throne. I'm going to share something with you that was given to me that I wrote down yesterday that changed I feel like, man, how many more times can my life change? All the time. I was doing some research, doing some journaling, trying to get some guidance. I actually asked God, show me something. I need you today. Give me a message. And I got a message that I thought was the message. And I was basking in the ambiance of the message. It was powerful. It resonated. It gave me goosebumps. It came to me while I was running. And it inspired me so much that I looked down and I was going almost at a sprint. I looked at my phone. I was at like a 7.5 minute mile up a hill. And I didn't even feel it. I was so inspired that I was running so fast. I was so into the moment. I was trying to give myself, I said, I need to stop and write this thing down. And then here's what came to me. All that I am building, all that I am becoming, all that I am, through the grace of God, through the mercy of God, through faith. This presence is not mine as I am. This presence, me, is not, that I'm building, that I have built, that I have become, is not mine. It is God's energy moving through me. I am the steward, not the owner. I got goosebumps. I can't be arrogant to think that just because I am elevating and I feel this energy and this omnipotence, that it is me. No, I am just the captain of the ship. This is God. That's why I believe in this. All of us are God. God is all. All of us have this potentiality at whatever level you want to have it at. Runner, responder, route runner, root source. But you can be the root source of all. I keep saying it. The janitor who is very, very rooted in, I love sweeping and mopping these floors at this children's hospital. That's where my life changed, working in a children's hospital. You see some things that happen to kids. The neonatal ICU, the PICU, children who are, I don't want to digress. But my beautiful people, if you reach an elevated point and God has blessed you and is watching through you and seeing through you, if you're going to lease something, lease God's energy. And then when you are empowered, I have that, I want to be arrogant and I want to wear it heavy, like, yeah, this is me. I knew it, but it still isn't me. I am just a steward. God has released himself through me. That humbles me. That keeps me grounded. That gives me the remembrance. And at any time, God could choose somebody different. And is, because others deserve it. If not as much, definitely more than me. But let's get into a war doctrine today. We're not going to give a story of God, but we're going to get some text that makes sense. Hernan Cortés was a Spanish explorer and conquistador. He led the expedition that overthrew the Aztec Empire and brought large portions of Mexico under Spanish rule. Now, specific to one of the Mexico endeavors, as he was bringing Mexico under Spanish rules. When Cortés, Cortés tried to get that Spanish fluidity, I got that Spanglish, that New York half English, half Spanish down pat. But when Cortés landed in the New World, he did something unthinkable. He burned the ships. No retreat, no backup. Only conquest or death. Now, you don't have to agree with his mission, but you must honor the lesson, at least if you want to figure out how to move forward. Leaders don't offer the system an escape. They command the system to evolve or die trying. That's what we're talking about. Burn it as you are going, even if you're making great progress. I feel like I have a backpack. We talked before about releasing. Don't carry no unnecessary weight. I let it all go. I almost feel like now my backpack is filled with gasoline. I don't care if I had the greatest of days. I burn it. It's gone. It's gone. If you've been with me, you've also learned, right? I don't know if it's in an upcoming episode because I've written out a bunch of scripts. But anyway, we talked about the fire. We talked about how fire helps. A forest, a vast forest, the biggest of trees, they burn eventually. And think about all the things that tree, that big, massive, towering tree of the forest has learned and seen. It has to burn. Why? So the smaller trees can have room to breathe and grow. But also, that big forest tree, when it burns, it enriches the soil. It enriches the soil, and the forest gets even stronger and bigger and bolder and broader and wider and more vast. In that way, when you stack wins and good days, don't bask in it. That's God's anyway. It's not yours. You are just to repeat it. I walk around with gasoline. I light the match. I don't care how great the day. I move. I make a better day. Even if I do the same things. Let's get into 3 levels of separation. SSS, self, spirit, system. This is the upgrade for yourself, the psychological break. You can't keep executing like the almost version of yourself and expect root source results. True separation means you start holding yourself accountable like you're already crowned. King and queen. You are of your own system if you choose to be. You no longer excuse old tendencies. You audit, replace, execute. This is where identity stops being optional. The version of you that used to fold, he doesn't get a vote or she doesn't get a vote. They don't get a vote in the system anymore. Separation question. Ask yourself this for yourself. Does my behavior reflect the level I claim I'm at or the level I'm afraid to outgrow? Have you claimed your new level? Are you walking in faith? You will not be promoted to the next level until the world sees, whether in business, your most intimate relationships, God, pick one, anyone. If you keep behaving as the person who got to where they're at, you'll keep earning exactly where you are. You have not outgrown yourself. Why? You're likely moving in fear, not faith. Spirit, we're talking about separation. This is the divine separation. When you burn the escape route, you're not just leaving old habits, you're renouncing a false spiritual agreement. You are telling God, I no longer serve my doubt. I serve my design. This separation is your declaration of spiritual adulthood. Stop the adolescent behavior. Stop the adolescent habits and lifestyles. Some of you are 58, still acting like you were 11. You're not asking God to rescue you anymore. You're taking full ownership of the authority he gave you. Here's the separation question for your spirit. Have I fully revoked permission from my past self to influence my future calling? Revoke the past self. There's nothing there that serves you other than to remind you why you should be moving forward into the future. The system, the environmental burn. Hear this. Hear this. If your calendar, your phone, your space, your circle still reflect an old role, you haven't really separated. Huh? Systems obey the signals you send. You can't say, no turning back. This is it. And still hang on to shortcuts, distractions, and safety nets. How's that logical? System separation means your environment reinforces your evolution. Here's your separation question. Have I burned the map physically, or do I still leave it pinned just in case? Why are you giving yourself a way out? Why are you giving yourself a way out? There is no way out. Burn it. Because you know what comes next? There's consequences. There's consequences. And the consequences that we talk about on the Do You rules follow self, spirit, and system. Here is yourself. You'll keep reliving the same chapter with different names. You'll master the collapse and call it momentum. You'll pretend to be busy, but you'll never be becoming. There are consequences to self. It's the worst case of prescribed deja vu. Time is happening, time is passing. You are in the same space. Still pretending to be busy, but you'll never be becoming. Do you understand what that means for yourself? Your consequences? Your spirit. If you don't burn it, if you don't stop leaving an escape route, your spirit, you'll operate under borrowed conviction. You'll break the contract you made with God and know it. You'll lose your spiritual authority while still quoting scripture. That's what most of us wait. We wait to be saved. There isn't anyone coming to save you. God has already instilled what you need. Faith or fear, your choice, system. Your habits will rebel against your destiny. Your space will reject your identity. You'll be surrounded by tools for a life you no longer live. And then one day, you just go back. There are consequences. Let's check the chat. 423 on whatever day of the week this is. You understand? Consequences. Are you holding yourself accountable? What are you going back to? It's not there for you anymore. It's not there for you anymore. It's not even real. Let us help each other out. Here's how to take ownership through self, spirit, and system. Starting with self. Call out the exact behavior that used to make you fold. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't disguise it. Speak it out loud. I do this. I'm sharing with you exactly what I do. This is the moment I used to break. This time I build. Full transparency. I can sense if you start to pay attention to how your systems and you really start to audit and reflect, replace, and report, because we measure. It's not just cool acronyms, again, just for the sake of it. But anyway, I digress because I want to be all the way. If you can audit, replace, and report, you'll find that as you reflect, there was a moment in time where you felt the same way you are starting to feel when you decide, or when you start to decide if you should stop and quit. And you'll realize, yo, what I've been doing is I've been quitting, like I said, without realizing it. I redirect and reshift my energy. I come up with a new plan A, but I never concluded. I never brought closure to the plan I had in place, if even to say, no, this is not working. In that way, you must know with great conviction and authority, if it's not working, close it. Because that means you've learned something from it. You haven't broken. You've just decided there's something else that I should be doing. I've reached this conclusion as far as where I'm moving towards through multiple fractures, multiple breaks. But the reality is this. Everything I've stopped wasn't because the signs were there to say you're not good enough. In fact, the signs were reinforcing constantly. You are good enough. You do have the talent. I would break because I had to put in more work. That's what gets me here. How do I know this now? As I've elevated in my career, there's a reality too to the way that this is why the 4 R's: runner, responder, route setter, root source. The further you become for root source, the more you can delegate that hands-on keyboard work. Where I'm at with the Do-You rules in this movement requires a lot of hands-on keyboard work. A lot of documentation, a lot of process alignment, a lot of scripting, a lot of frontline hands-on keyboard work. That breaks me because it's monotonous. I don't want to be on the front line. I never wanted to stay at that level, which is why I've ascended. And now to think, oh my God, I've ascended to this great place and God has spoken to me, but I got to come back. We're going to talk about this in a future episode. I got to come back down the mountain and I got to start to scale one step at a time. I said it, you might have missed it in part of my story. I'm always in the middle now. Essentially, the way I envision this life thing is this. I'm always making forward progress. I'm always moving, but I stay in the middle. Why? Because when I'm in the middle, when I look back, I'm too far ahead to go back. I think of it like this. If I'm in the middle, the distance back and the distance forward is the same. So why would I go back? Hear what I'm saying? The distance forward and the distance back is the same. Now, naturally, it's easy to break and fall back because if I just stopped, what's behind me will catch up to me. Why? Because the world never stops. You hear what I'm trying to tell you? So if I'm in the center, I know, man, each direction is equally distant. But if I stop, everything will catch up to me. In that way, I'm a quitter. But also, as I make progress, when I look again, I'm always in the middle. Why? I never reach an end. Because a perceptual end is also a break that tells me I'm either done all the way and there's nowhere to go, which is crazy. There's always somewhere to go. But if there is, that means a new mission is required. So I'm always in the middle until it's time to close it. And this mission for me, I don't see it closing. Your spirit. We're talking about how to. Because there's consequences, right? Spirit. Close your eyes. Excuse me. And renew the contract with God. No begging, no bargaining, just obedience. Say this and appreciate the magnitude of these words and who you're talking to. You're talking to God. God, I accept the full burden of who you created me to be. I will no longer negotiate with my shadow. God, I accept the full burden of who you created me to be. I will no longer negotiate with my shadow. I empathize with you. Owning your system, running your system, executing on God's plan for you is a burden. In that you can't, once you accept the assignment, there's no quitting. That's tough to know that you cannot quit. Why? You won't be able to live with yourself. Why? You realize God is always watching. You don't want to let you down. When you get to the point where you don't want to let you down, it's tough. System. We're talking about how to fix this thing. Audit your environment for backdoors, right? What does this mean? Delete the apps, cut the access, cancel the fallback plans. There are no other plans. Destroy the evidence of the old U's return policy. If it doesn't serve your root source identity, it doesn't belong. That is how we fix this thing. Let's have something actionable for today. Here's a daily challenge using our ARR framework. What is ARR? We audit, replace, and report. The audit. List the 3 escape routes you've kept open just in case. Be real. Is there a second career path? A relationship that doesn't align but gives you comfort? A way you slack off just enough not to fail, but never fully succeed? Ooh. Now write this down. I know what I used to do. I see the crack in the system. Excuse me. I know what I used to do. I see the crack in the system. Audit yourself. Then we replace. For each escape route, I say route, but not, the do you rules, the root source. I don't want to confuse it. For each escape route, replace it with a contract of commitment. Example, instead of keeping a backup job search open, I will optimize my current lane as if I already own the company. Yeah. I'm always the CIO. Instead of venting to people who don't live this calling, I'll report to someone who reflects my next level. Yo, this is big. I'll report to someone who reflects my next level. If you're speaking to people who are not above you, I talked about this before. You gotta have the dichotomy of growth for me that I'm learning. You gotta have someone who you can teach, who you're a mentor for. There's massive availability for that, right? We are able to give somebody advice. Somebody who's at your level and competing with you, trying to grow. And then a mentor. Don't misconstrue somebody who you're helping, that you're mentoring in a way, as complainers and antagonizers of broke level mindset. If you're talking to people who are staying in the same lane, same place, doing the same things and have no urgency for growth, they're killing you. Let them kill you to stretch you, not to restrict you. All right. Here's something else you could do. Instead of scrolling to cope, I'll write a page for the system I'm building. All right. This is how I will move as the root. This is how I move as the root. Then report back. Declare it publicly or journal it privately. This is the moment I used to quit. Not anymore. I burn the map. I am the route. If you're in the community, drop it here, drop it there. If not, record a voice note to your future self and save it. Create proof that this moment wasn't temporary. It was terminal for your old identity. Audit, replace, report, measure. Stay in the middle. Here's the raw and uncooked. The point of no return isn't a decision. It is a system command. It is the exact moment your future identity becomes non-negotiable. Most people don't fail because they're unskilled. They fail because they keep the door cracked. They say I'm all in while whispering, but just in case. But fallback plans don't just slow you down. They spiritually disconnect you from your root. They teach your subconscious to trust the escape more than the assignment. They program your system for doubt and then blame God when it doesn't work. You already know the truth. If you haven't burned the map, You're not moving forward. You're circling clarity in loops of hesitation. This is the inflection point where faith isn't about feelings, it's about friction. Where quitting is no longer an option because the cost is your contract. You didn't just cross the threshold today, you incinerated it. And from here forward, you don't just run the system, you become the route. Own the system or be erased by it. You either run the system or the system runs you. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.